So, Tuesday, I was going to get some blood work done for an upcoming thing because that's just part of my life now, as I have to get blood work and I have to do thingies to deal with the physical disabilities I'm dealing with, as well as the learning and disabilities and emotional disabilities. And there was a story on the radio. And the story on the radio really wasn't important. And I'm not going to get too much into it because somebody will accuse me of getting my information incorrectly. But basically, something happened and somebody said or did something and they were called out for it and they apologized and then they were called out for their apology. And, well, it's Twitter. So the Twitterverse is the single most hostile, toxic place in the multiverse. But the guy talking about the story made an interesting comment where he said, "Isn't it great that we live in a country where the single thing that people most are upset about right now is this? Isn't it great that that's the topic, the top of the news right now? When, a few months ago, the top of the news was death and violence and guns and political insurrection and COVID. But now the number one story in the news and the thing that people are most upset about is something that somebody said on Twitter. And isn't that great that we live in a country where that's the thing that you can be the most upset about, as opposed to, anywhere else in the world where the thing you most need to worry about is like rebels coming into your town and killing everybody, or massive disease, or communist dictators, or all the horrible atrocities are being subjugate to humans across the face of the earth. But we live in a country where the single thing people can be the most upset about is something that happened on Twitter. Which brings us to yesterday, where something happened on Twitter. People became unbelievably upset. And isn't it great we live in a country where at this point in time, the thing people can be most upset about is that, as opposed to, I don't know, voter rights being suppressed in Arizona and Texas. But that's not important. Twitter's is what's important. And I made a 20-minute stream of thought consciousness about this. And somewhere in that stream of consciousness, I got a fact wrong about who owned who when in the relationship between Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, and TSR. I don't remember exactly what I said, but apparently I got the chain of events wrong, when, who would, and okay, I made a mistake. It was a stream of thought consciousness. I wasn't really looking at timelines. It was just something I said, and it was wrong. What I guess I should have said, this guy bought this guy, and then this guy bought this guy, and then this happened, and then blah, 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 Hasbro, wibbly wobbly, corporate thing. And really, does it matter that I got it wrong? But of the 20-minute stream of consciousness topic that I addressed yesterday about the Twitterverse and the whole Wizards of the Coast gatekeeping, racism thing, that's the one thing people were most upset about. Out of that 20 minutes, that 5-second block where I got a fact incorrect is the thing I got called out for. How dare I get the order of events of who when, and when TSR sold out to Wizards, and when Wizards sold out to Hasbro, and when Hasbro sold out to Disney, and when Disney sold out to TSR. I got that wrong. And I'm sorry I got it wrong. You're completely right. I should have looked it up. But it was a stream of consciousness video, and really the point was, why were people upset about what happened in Wizards of the Coast, not when Wizards of the Coast bought TSR, and when TSR bought Hasbro, and when Hasbro bought Wizards of the Coast, because really, who the fuck cares? But that's what made people got so upset, is that I got that wrong. Not the other thing, not the 19 minutes and 95 seconds that of me talking about, hey, this is really important, and why are people upset? No, that's the thing people got upset about. And they called me out on it. And in the state of my emotional distress and everything else is going on in my life, like I might die next week from the surgery I have to have, but that's not important. I made some comments. I got upset that people were upset, and people are calling me out for being upset, which reminded me of Tuesday. And isn't it great? We live in a country where the single most important thing you are upset about is that I got a fact wrong. Not, I don't know, rebels kicking down your door, kidnapping your daughter and wife, and forcing you to work in a slave labor camp, or a genocidal communist dictator deciding he wants to kill every third person born in his country, or, fires that have been burning for 10 years, or voter suppression and Jim Crow rights being passed in Texas and Arizona. No, the single most important thing in the world is that I got a fact wrong. And isn't it great that we live in a country where that's the single most important thing that you need to worry about, is that I got a fact wrong. So I'm sorry I got the fact wrong. And I'm sorry I got upset about the fact that I got the fact wrong. And I was upset that you were calling me out. Obviously, there's a lot of other things going on in my life. And this is one of the few places I can express my frustration at gaming, and in my frustration I made a mistake. You called me out of it, and what I should have said is thank you for pointing that out to me. But what instead I said, why is this so important? Out of that 20 minutes, that's what you took away from this, and I'm sorry. So which leaves us, of course, with the paradox of what to do with the future of my channel. At this point, I could just stop. I'm obviously never going to have enough viewers to make money. I think that would have happened by now. I doubt I'm going to hit 500 by August 4th. And obviously, I can't talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast without setting someone. But talking about Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast has been a very important part of my channel, going back to the very first vlogs I ever did. Both from news and from opinions, whether it was my videos about Critical Role or 5th edition or the evolution of the hobby or whatever. Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast, of course, takes up 90% of the video information thingy, so therefore I talk about them a lot, which leaves me with a couple different choices. I could just stop. For the love of the game, I could just quit right now. And I'm thinking about it. I'm seriously thinking about it, or at least taking a break. Because I got upset because you were upset, and really, I shouldn't have been upset that you were upset. I should have said thank you for pointing out that I made a mistake. So I could stop. I could do what a lot of other people have done and create a Patreon for fans only thing, where I put the videos, like yesterday, up underneath a paywall, where you pay me 10 cents a month in exchange for me just talking about what I'm continuing to want to talk about and not worry about you being upset, because since you paid me, you obviously are okay with if I get a fact wrong because it's under a paywall, much like, Belle Delphine's nude pictures and her porn stuff. It's under a paywall. It's under fans only. If you pay her to see what she's doing in the for fans only, you can't be upset by what she's doing, even though what she's doing is, and she's very obvious about this, and she's blatantly, said, I'm doing this to get money off of you. But you can't be upset because you paid the money. So I could do that. Or I could just simply not talk about Wizards of the Coast and D&D anymore, and I could not do anything associated with that hobby. And to that point, yes, I have reached a point in my life where I've gotten rid of all my Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Anything in my house that says Dungeons and Dragons or Wizards of the Coast, I have resold back to Seth's Games and Anime in exchange for other product or store credit. And I am slowly replacing all my D&D figures with other figures from not other companies, and I'm slowly replacing my games with other games from other companies. And in the future, I have two options. Option one is I go to a friendly local game store like Cess Games and Anime, and if somebody is playing 5th edition, or if somebody wants me to run 5th edition, I will do it, but only because it's making Cess Games and Anime money, and if I'm helping them stay open and make money, it then gives me a chance to hopefully introduce people to other games that are different and better than 5th edition, much the same way Aaron the Pendactic has done. Or I could just say, you know what? I'm completely banning that from my life. If somebody invites me to play 5th edition at a game store like Cess Games and Anime, I'm not going to do it, because I would be a hypocrite. And if Seth says, hey, Mike, I need you to run some game for some kids because they want to learn how to play, and they're going to spend, $75 each on the stuff, plus dice, plus figures, so, it's a $200 sale, I'm going to say, no, Seth, I'm sorry. I know I said I would do this to help you make money and to keep the store alive and hopefully introduce people to other games, but I can't. In good conscience, I can't continue to support. So even though it would help you make money, I can't do that because that's not my job. But of course, if Seth was paying me, then I would say, yeah, sure, it's my job. You're paying me, so of course I will help them learn the game and make you money because that helps me make money. So, if the most important thing we got out of yesterday is that I got a fact wrong, and that we live in an amazing country where that's the single most important thing that you can worry about, and knowing full well that if I continue to talk about Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Critical Role, or anything else, I'm opening myself up to that criticism and attacks. I could quit for the love of the game. I could put my stuff under a PayPal wall for fans only for the love of the game. I could just not talk about that topic going any further. I could not play D&D, run D&D, have anything to do with D&D since I've already gotten rid of all my shit. Or I could continue to do it for the love of the game because it's something that's going to make me money. And if it makes me money and helps me support myself, and in return helps my friend keep his business open, then sure. But while doing it, I'm also going to, of course, try and get people to actually play one of the other 1,000 games that are on the shelves at Cess Games and Anime. So, for the love of the game, going forward, which do you think I should do? Should I just stop? Should this be my last video ever? Should I create a for fans only paywall site where I continue to broadcast, but under that, so I can say whatever I want because it's under a PayPal wall, and you can't be upset because of the whole, unique paradox of PayPal walls? Should I just continue what I'm doing but not address Wizards of the Coast, which of course would be difficult since they do dominate the topic? Or should I just keep doing what I've been doing because talking about Wizards of the Coast gets me views, which makes me money and helps my friend at his store stay open and understand that while I'm doing this, I'm also trying to direct people to other games. Of course, the other option is I could just give up altogether and talk about bass fishing. Anyways, I'm sorry about the mistake I made. I'm more sorry that that's the single most important thing that you took out of that video yesterday. And I'm sorry if you find my stream of consciousness vlogs upsetting. Of course, you could support me, and if I'm taking money from you, then I'd have to do what you wanted, wouldn't I? And I'd be able to do better vlogs. I'd have a better computer, and I'd be able to support myself through this hobby and through the upcoming surgeries I have to go through, which I might die in, stuff like that. So yeah, subscribe, support, thumbs up. You tell me what you want. You tell me what direction you think the channel should go, because I really don't know. For the love of the game, I can't in good conscience continue to actively support Wizards of the Coast or Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. On the other hand, they are a singular titan in the role-playing news, and you can't not ignore them because everything they're doing is affecting the game. What I can do is maybe try and follow in the footsteps of my friend Aaron, and while addressing 5th edition, try and get people to understand that there are other games, better games, and by running those games, playing those games, advertising those games, hopefully getting people to switch over for 5th edition to those other games, understanding that 5th edition D&D is a completely different entity from the rest of the role-playing world, and hopefully I can introduce people to the rest of the role-playing world and get them to understand. Are my videos still going to be snarky, sarcastic, and filled with anger and vileness? Probably. If that upsets you, well, I'm sorry. But again, there's a warning on the beginning of my videos. So you tell me, for the love of the game, you tell me what you think I should do. Except for the idiot who's going to say, go fucking kill yourself. You can just shut the fuck up, you mark.